I remember when I had to renew my lease on my very first apartment and they wanted to increase my rent. Hey everyone, this is Cody with Rent Reporters, and I was paying $800 a month in rent and they wanted to raise it up to $850. Now I didn't have a roommate to split costs, and at the time I was really going to feel that extra $50 coming out of my budget. So what do you do when your landlord wants to raise your rent when it comes time to renew? Now, this was my first apartment, so I didn't have a lot of experience there, but I did have experience negotiating thanks to my time spent working as a buyer for an e-commerce company. I also have experience asking people to like and subscribe to this channel, so please don't forget to do that sometime between now and the end of this video. Now, the key to successfully negotiating is leverage, and you gain leverage by doing your research, knowing your options, and coming to the conversation prepared. And you can't skip these steps because no landlord is going to just say sure if you just ask them to pay less money. So tip number one, research your market, specifically the vacancy rates of the market. Are you in an area of high or low vacancy rates? The higher the vacancy rate, the more leverage that you have as a renter, because landlords have a harder time filling the vacancies. And the fact is, vacancies are expensive. For example, according to iPropertyManagement.com, the average vacancy rate of California is only 4.7%, which is below the national average of 6.4%, compared to Texas with a vacancy rate of 9.9%. So theoretically, this means that renters in Texas should have an easier time negotiating than those in California. You might be in a strong negotiating position just by where you live. So how does your state compare? Link to the research is in the description. Tip number two, research rentals in your area and compare price per square foot and amenities. You might discover that the increased rate might not be very competitive compared to other rentals in the area, and that provides you with leverage. Now, when I did this, I saw that much higher end apartments, even though they were a little bit smaller, they started at about $925, but they had way better amenities and perks, such as reporting rent to credit agencies and discounts at local shops and on services like internet. They also had nicer appliances, some even came fully furnished, and they were just in better parts of town and closer to work. Now, let's be very clear here. Realistically, I couldn't have afforded the extra $125, plus the admin fees and the applications fees for another $400 or so, plus a deposit, plus the cost of moving. But I now had something to compare my current apartment against. So next, I looked for similar quality apartments that were just bigger, and I found some for about $880. Now at this point, my complex wasn't looking very competitive. There were bigger apartments only $30 away in price, and higher end apartments only $75 away in price. Now, since these complexes were really close, they were competitors, and I now had leverage I could use in my conversation. Tip number three, check out marketing promotions in your area. Now, typically this applies more to apartments than to house and townhome rentals, but it's still good to research even if you are renting a house. One of the most common promotions is a free month or two of rent and waiving admin and application fees. Now, if you decided to leave your current rental, promotions like this could more than offset the costs associated with moving. The last thing that your landlord wants is a bunch of tenants leaving if there's move-in specials from competitors. Letting them know that you're willing to stay put instead of leaving for a competitor's move-in special, as long as you can keep your current rate, might just be the ticket that you need to persuade them. Tip number four, refer someone to them. Now again, this applies more commonly to apartments, but many apartment complexes offer referral bonuses if you refer someone to them. And I've seen these range from about $300 to $500, and they'll pay these because it's cheaper for them to pay that than it is for there to be a vacant unit. And you can use this to your advantage. So let's say that your rent is going up $50 like mine was. That's $600 over the course of the year. You can always try to negotiate by referring someone and asking them to keep the referral bonus but not to raise your rent, if the math is favorable to you. So let's say that the referral bonus is $300 and you send someone over. Now, if the landlord agrees to them keeping the referral bonus but not raising your rent, then you've just netted yourself $300 over the course of the year. That's not too shabby. And last but not least, tip number 5 is extending your lease into more competitive seasons. Rental market rates go up and down depending on the season, and generally prices are going to be higher in the summertime when there's more people looking, and lower in the wintertime because, well, there's fewer people looking. So let's say that you signed your lease in February. Now, if you renew for another year, then when your lease is up again, it'll be during a time when rental rates are typically lower and harder to find tenants. That's bad for the landlord. But if you offer to sign for 18 months instead of 12, as long as you can keep your rate, then the landlord will be able to charge higher prices in August when your lease is up. And now it becomes a win-win because your rates are locked in for 18 more months and the landlord gets to make more money and fill the vacancy easier if you choose to leave. So once you've done your research and identified your options, the next thing you need to do is, well, talk to them. Politely, of course. So in my case, my simple research on competing apartments was enough. I told them that I didn't want to pay an extra $50 when I could just go a couple miles away, get a much better place or a much bigger place for just a few bucks more than their increased rate. And you know what they said? They said okay. And they asked if I could do $825. Now I could have pushed them further and maybe got them to just stick to $800, but I also wanted to stay on their good side just in case I ever needed work done on my apartment because Georgia's summers are really, really hot. So come to the conversation prepared by taking just a few hours to research the market in your city or town, knowing how hard it is to fill vacancies, knowing what the rates and the move-in specials are for competing properties, providing value by referring new tenants, and being willing to sign longer leases after proving that you can pay your rent, all help in giving you leverage with your landlord when it comes time to renew your lease. And this could save you thousands of dollars. So now that you know these tips, don't be afraid to negotiate with your landlord. You just might be surprised by the results and your wallet will thank you. So do you have any more negotiating tips? Leave them in the comments below, and until next time, this is Cody with Rent Reporters, and thank you for watching.